Okay, so here's my little demo of the circumference activity that I'm asking you to do. So, so I've got my little circular object here. This is like a little candle lid. um, I was gonna do a bigger one, but it wouldn't fit under the dot cam. Anyway, my fear is that you're all gonna use your water bottle and then we're all gonna have the same size circle. So try to be more inventive than that, I guess. But anyway, so I've got this candle lid. And so I asked you to measure two things. I need you to measure the diameter of your circular object, and then I need you to measure the circumference of your circular object. So as for the diameter, right, the diameter is the distance from one edge of the circle to the other that passes through the center of the circle. Now, in my case, this lid is actually really nice because notice that it has diameters already on it. Right, this diameter goes from one edge all the way to the other, so I can measure that pretty easily. If I didn't have those markings though, like if I were faced with a situation like this, I could still figure out the distance from one edge to the other. I'm going to use inches, you could use centimeters, it doesn't matter what units you use to measure. But I could still measure from one edge to the other if I put one edge of my ruler on one edge of the circle, and then I move the other edge of the ruler around, you notice that the further away from the center I get, the smaller that length becomes, right? So I know that the circumference is going to be or not the circumference, but the diameter is going to be the longest distance that I can get to. Does that make sense? So if you'll just kind of move your ruler around until you see the largest possible diameter, then that's the diameter of your circle. So the largest length is going to be the diameter. In this case, it's looking like mine. I would say if I'm measuring from like the outside width to the outside width, I would say maybe, so this is 3.5, and then that's 1/16 above a half, so 9/16, so 3 9/16 of an inch. You could give, larger actually, so I would say maybe 3 5/8 probably. I would say probably 3 5/8 is the diameter of this thing. So 3 5/8 of an inch, and you can change that into a decimal when you enter your value into the spreadsheet. But I'm going to go ahead and say the diameter. Oops, I'm going to say the diameter is 3 5/8. Was it 3? I don't know. Maybe I'll measure it from this side too. This is because this is even easier since I have these straight lines going all the way across. But yeah, I think again, 3 5/8 is pretty clearly, isn't this a pretty lid? Anyway, I think 3 5/8 is probably my wife's laughing at me. She's in here watching me record the video. She thinks I'm an idiot, and she's probably right. But there's 3 5/8, yeah, so 3 5/8 is the diameter of that circle. So the diameter is not too bad. Measuring the circumference is a little more challenging. If you have a little like fabric tape measure like this, for measuring fabric, then it's not too bad, right? You just need to go all the way around your object with your tape and then see, what the circumference is. Now this particular tape measure that I have, it doesn't start right at 1. Because it's like it's like for measuring, I don't know, your waist, like if you have to measure it on your own, you know what I mean? Like you don't have anyone there to help you. And so like this little thing goes inside the other side. Anyway, so it doesn't start right at 1, which presents something of a challenge. And, but if you have a nice tape measure that does start at 1, right, like you can just measure the circumference that way. I'm going to, well, actually, I could. So the way I use this one is I just, like I said, I feed that end through there, and then I press this little button, and it just like tightens nice and snug around my lid, which is really very useful. for this particular thing. Anyway, then I can see how long it is. So this one's, oh, what are these? These are like 1/8" markings. So I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6/8 or 3/4, in other words. Is that right? Yeah, 3/4. So that's 11 3/4. 11 3/4 right there. So the circumference is 11 3/4 inches. But I want to show you another way to get this measurement, because you might not have a nice handy dandy tool like this for measuring stuff. So another way that you could get the circumference is you could use like a string or I don't know, like a piece of twine. Like in my case, I have this little rope that I'm going to use, and you can thread your rope around the circle, and then where the ends meet, make sure that you put your fingers where the ends meet, so that you know that now when I undo this is kind of hard for you to see, I guess, but from this end to this end where I grabbed it, where the ends met around the circle, right? That's the length of the circumference. And in fact, I'm just going to go ahead and cut it. I'm going to cut that end off to make it easier for me to measure now. Oh, come on. I need some new scissors. All right, so that's that length. And now I can use my ruler. I can use my ruler to measure this. All right, I can just use my straight ruler to get the same measurement, right? Anyway, my dot cam doesn't zoom out any further than this, so this is as much of the pictures you're gonna get. But you can see, I'm getting about the same, about the same length as what I got using my other system. So anyway, that's what I would like you to do there. And then once you have your observations, you're going to enter them into the spreadsheet that I have posted on Canvas, as well as a couple of calculations that I want you to do. So one of the calculations that I asked you to do was to calculate the ratio of the circumference. No, I wanted you to do the diameter to the circumference, and I wanted you to do the radius to the circumference. So I wanted you to do those two calculations. So let me do those with you real quick. I'm just going to use my calculator, of course. But first of all, so 3 5/8. So 3 5/8 is 3.625 inches. And 11 3/4 is 11.75 inches. All right, so just changing those to decimal. And now, if I want to do the diameter to the circumference, then I would say 3.625 divided by 11.75. Hold on a sec. Yeah, okay. So I want it to go the other way around, actually. So I want to go circumference to diameter and circumference to radius. So I really want to do 11.75 over 3.625. So 11.75 over 3.625 is about 3.24. Let's round to 2 decimal places. If I want to do circumference to radius, the first thing I need to do is figure out what my radius is. And if you did the reading right before this video, then you know that the radius is half of the diameter, right? So the radius is half the diameter. So if the diameter is 3.625, then that means the radius is 3.625 divided by 2, which is 1.8125. So circumference to radius is going to be 11.75 over 1.8125. and that comes out to about 6.48. Okay, so I'm going to enter these things into the spreadsheet now, right? So my diameter, my circumference, and then the ratios that I wanted to compute. So let me show you that in Canvas. So you'll have this little link. And then you should be able to fill in this information. Okay, so the diameter, 3.625. The circumference, 11.75. You don't have to put the units on there. In fact, please leave the units off so that we can do calculations later on. If you put in other characters in these cells, then I won't be able to like find the average or whatever I want to do later on, right? The radius, the radius we said was 1.8125. The ratio of the circumference to the diameter, we did 3.24. And circumference to radius, we said 6.48. Okay, so that's what I'd like you to do. And then I hope this works, actually. I've never posted a Google Sheet in Canvas before, and so I'm not sure it will save your results, but I think it will. It should. So, so hopefully you can fill in the spreadsheet, and then I'll see a bunch of entries for class on Thursday. And then we'll use your data to try to come up with a formula for the circumference of a circle on Thursday. So that's that.